Welcome to the Nurse Life Coach Academy podcast, where Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, talk all about how to get certified and practice professionally as a nurse life coach.
Welcome to the Nurse Life Coach Academy podcast. We do this twice a month for you guys, and this episode is all about different coaching skills, but primarily the importance of assessment. So for those of you who are more seasoned, I'm going to give you a framework by which to listen to this episode through. Take a moment here and check and see how you feel you've been doing with assessment. It's really easy to stop assessing once we feel like we know a client, but oftentimes the assessment process itself will jog new stuff loose off the sides, which is so helpful. And for students or potential students who are listening to this, I want to look at this lens of how life coach assessment is so different than clinical assessment. And so I hope that you find this episode incredibly useful. And we're going to talk first about the main assessment that we teach, which is the Wheel of Life assessment. The Wheel of Life assessment that we chose has 12 categories. So let me tell you what those categories are and a little bit about each one. And as I'm saying them to you, rate them in your brain. All right. First is lifestyle. Definition of this is that your lifestyle encompasses the daily habits, routines, and choices that shape the quality and structure of your life. So this area of your life includes how your time is spent, this balance between work and relaxation, self-care habits, and the overall rhythm of life. And it sets the foundation for how we experience our day-to-day well-being. So I feel like lifestyle is a big one. And often I think of lifestyle as a marketing term or having to do just with financial lifestyle, but lifestyle is just, what does our lives look like behind the scenes? If we had a video camera following us around Monday through Sunday, what does it look like? What are we doing? How are we spending our time? What are we eating? How are we sleeping? Where are we sleeping? All these things make up our lifestyle. And I want you to pause for a moment here and just check in and see how you'd rate your satisfaction with your current lifestyle, 0 to 10. I'm going to say, for me, I'm going to give it a strong 7 because I am struggling with how to relax on the farm because I'm such a achiever. It's my Enneagram and I have businesses and goals and I love doing this stuff with you guys. And so I have to be really, really cognizant of the reason why I am doing or not doing. And I haven't nailed it yet. So I'm a 7 out of 10 here. Next category is finances. Finances refers to the management and state of your monetary resources. This includes your income, expenses, savings, debt, and investments. I will say prior to becoming a professional coach, I would give my finances a 2. So it's never been good for me. And the distinction here is that financial stability or stress impacts nearly every other area of our life. So our financial health impacts our decisions, our lifestyle choices, whether we go on vacation or not, how we feel when we open our bank account, how we feel when we think about retirement. So this is a really, really overarching thing, especially at the date that I'm recording this in 2024. I feel like finances are on everybody's mind. So assessing finances uncovers potential areas for stress and opportunities for growth, not only in financial literacy and stability, but also in mindset around your current money situation and your desire to change it if you so desire to change it. So just check in and see how you're doing there. And I would say for now with finances, I would say I am an 8 out of 10 at this moment. I could absolutely spend less on dumb stuff. And I certainly could increase my savings and my glad giving. That's how I could improve it. Health and fitness. This is physical health, exercise, nutrition, sleep patterns, physical well-being, any addictions that you're currently contending with or addictions that you've overcome, your energy, your strength, your resilience. This is the meat suit. This is an assessment of the meat suit that you live in, the physical home that you use in this life for all the other areas. How are you feeling about that? And this one is so important. And I think that there can be so much shame around this one. I feel like most people will say, I could do better, I should do better. And so I feel like as much as we're assessing for the state of it from a clinical standpoint, mostly we're assessing how people feel about their health, not necessarily what their health is. And I'm going to give you 2 examples here. If you've got a persistent exerciser, an obsessive exerciser who never feels like they're doing enough, who's constantly counting all their calories. It's in a tight wound bunch about their health versus somebody who maybe eats out a little bit too much, has a 15 extra pounds on them, but like has low stress and feels really good about their body. Which one's better? This is a very non-clinical assessment here. It's really how the client feels about it, how it's impacting them, and what they desire to change, not what we think they should change. So that's huge for us nurses in that category. And I would say health and fitness, I am going to say that I am a 7. And that's pretty damn good for me. So I'm pumped on that. Self-development. This is number 4. Self-development is about your effort to improve your skills, your knowledge, and personal effectiveness. This is your learning, your self-improvement efforts, personal growth goals. This area is distinct that it measures how much focus is placed on growing capabilities and gaining new insights for a more fulfilling life. Many of you are self-development junkies. I'm a self-development junkie, recovering self-development junkie. I, quite frankly, am scrolling too much and doing weird stuff with my free time. I could use a good self-development book, but I got burnt out on it. You're allowed to do that when you're a professional coach. You're allowed to take a break. So I would say my self-development, honestly, at this point, is a 6 out of 10. So there's lots of room for improvement for me in that particular area. But what is it for you and what is it for your client? And it's really this, yes, the number's important, the rating's important, but we're also wanting to know why they rated it that. I shared I'm a 6 out of 10 in self-development because I really haven't been developing. I'm taking a planned break, and the planned break has turned into a habit. And I just started reading something more development-based probably 3 days ago, so I'm feeling better about it. But probably before starting to read that material, I would give myself a 5 just because it is an area of my life that I intentionally needed to step back from. So lots of space to ask more questions here for yourself and for your client. Next is career. Career involves our professional life, job satisfaction, our aspirations, work-life balance, and growth opportunities. And while this may overlap a little bit with finances, it's so much more than your paycheck or your pay grade. This career assessment kind of focuses on your fulfillment. Are you aligned with your work? Is your work aligned with your values? How do you feel when you go to work? Do you look forward to work? We want careers that we're excited to show up to, way more than more zeros in our bank account, I would say, for most human beings. And certainly it's okay to want both. I'm a big fan of both. But career is really more than the dollar amount. It's a lot more about how you feel when you are trading your time for money, or if you're an entrepreneur, how you feel about your creativity in the world. I'm going to give my career, I have a hard time with anything over an 8 because I just feel like there's so much room for improvement always. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, but I feel pretty damn blessed with my career in this moment. Friendships. Friendships refer to social connections outside of our family and not our romantic relationships. This includes close friends and kind of broader social networks. And friendships are assessed based on their quality, supportiveness, and impact on mental health and happiness. And they can be significant sources of joy, growth, and provide emotional support and a sense of belonging. Adults have less friends. A lot of our coworkers become friends. And so for those of you listening to this who are solopreneurs, friendships can be a category that we notice goes down and we don't attend. And I'm going to say, for me, up until 2 weeks ago, I would say friendships is probably a 5. And I just went on a girls' trip and I'm supporting a dear friend through something difficult. And so I feel like right now it's a 7 because I am engaging in a friendship in a meaningful way. It has place in my life and it feels really I'm I can tell you that all of my friends from high school that I'm still in contact with, if I was going through crisis or if I needed something, they would do the same. So I'm really grateful to call that a 7, whereas probably up until that moment, it would have been a 5 because it had been back burner-ish in my life. This is a beautiful place to just check and see how lonely somebody might feel, or are they outgrowing their current friendships as they're on this self-development journey? So this is an important category, I would say, in the wheel of life. Next is family, and this is relationships with family members, immediate and extended family. And we know that family dynamics often really influence our identity. They are our support systems or our stress systems. It can play a big part in our emotional stability. I know a lot of our clients have aging parents and young children. They're kind of in that sandwich generation. So this is all really important to think about. I have a family member going through cancer journey. I have family members going through relationship difficulties. And while they aren't top of mind, if I'm forced to assess it, I would say there's room for improvement, right? So I'd say my family is about a 7. And so I love that I just assess that for myself, because there's places for me to engage more, to give just a little bit more if I wanted to raise that. And those are things that are out of my control, but it's really the way I engage with the external circumstances that I don't have control with inside of my family. So check in here and see if this is a point of stress for you, if it's something you're looking to improve, or if you're doing really well and you want to pat yourself on the back. All right, next is hobbies. So hobbies are what we do for fun. They are not for productivity. They don't have an end goal in mind. They're just fun. Um, they're separate from work. They're separate from obligations, and they contribute to our joy, our creativity, and they give us stress relief. And I feel like my hobby has been my business for so long, but my hobby is also the farm, and my hobby is interior design. And so I've given myself permission to spend time on interior design every week as a vow to up my hobby game. I would say my hobby game is a 6 out of 10, and we are working on raising that. And that's very intentional, and it's good for everybody in my life, and it's good for me. And I love assessing this in adults. Some of you guys nail the hobby game. And I can always tell when I'm talking to you because you just feel good to talk to. My husband has the hobby game like pretty nailed, and I envy his hobby. His hobby game is with jujitsu. And he doesn't like when I call it a hobby, but it doesn't fit into any other category. Well, it fits into like mental health and physical health. So maybe it contributes to both categories. But I would say it's something he does for enjoyment, and it's separate from work. And he's just nailing it in that. And it brings him a lot of joy. Next is spirituality. So spirituality involves your beliefs, practices, or values that provide a sense of purpose, inner peace, and connection beyond yourself. This can be religious. This can be non-religious. This is really, it's my favorite topic in the whole world to engage in or to talk about. But it's really like the essence of who you are outside of your personality. And it's the way that you relate to that. It's the way that you think about death. It's the way that you think about all the bigger things. It's what you would think about if you were on your deathbed. And everybody is just showing up in a different place here. So the question I like to ask any client is, tell me more about your spiritual background, religious beliefs. Give me a feel for how big that is in your life. And certainly, why did you rate it what you rated it? And then if they're religious, I ask more about that. And then I ask language. Do you want me to use the word God? Do you want me to use the word universe? What language would be helpful for you? And write down that language when you're taking notes, so that if you are addressing their spirituality, you can use their language that's relevant to them to make it more personable. And I also feel like people really appreciate my non-judgment of their spiritual path. Like, I just think that whatever your spiritual path is, I'm just on board of it for it. I just really am fanning your flame wherever you are on your journey, and with zero judgment and just all of the encouragement in the world to lean into your spiritual practices, whatever that might be. And so this is so important, because if you don't leverage spirituality when you're coaching people, you're leaving the most powerful thing on the table, in my opinion. The 12-step programs that have worked for 50 years in every country is a spiritual program. You have drop down, just bottom of the barrel drunks getting sober, and it is a spiritual program that relies on the dependence on a higher self. I think that since we're in the business of transformation, and we know this about the 12-step program, we owe it to ourselves to involve something higher than our clients, higher than ourselves, to help us. I won't get preachy there, but super pumped on spirituality. I'm going to give myself a 9 out of 10 right now. Me and God are good. I am digging God. I am reading spiritual texts every day. I am praying every day. I am listening to YouTubes in my sleep that are spiritual in nature. Feel totally filled up. I'm pumped. I get to say I'm a 9 there. All right. Next one is personal growth. Now, people say, Laura, what is personal development and what's personal growth? What's the distinction? Personal growth is broader than self-development. So it encompasses like your emotional resilience, your self-awareness, your personal achievements that contribute to your overall life satisfaction. So I think of personal growth more as how you view yourself in a much bigger way, versus personal development. It's kind of like, what are you doing this week, next week to grow? Personal growth is kind of like an overarching view on how this has played a part in your life. And it is the continuous pursuit of becoming the best version of ourselves through introspection, through goal setting, and through self-improvement. I would say personal growth, I'm going to give myself a 7, always room for improvement, but I'm always pretty steady in that department. If you have a coaching client and personal growth is like a 2 or a 3, get real curious there, because what are they doing sitting with you? I mean, I just love that if you were to sit with somebody who really calls it that, like how much potential they have. Like, that's so exciting, right? That is so exciting. So I love that area of questioning. Next one, we've got 2 more. Next one is love and relationships. This includes your romantic relationship and intimate partnerships, and focus on closeness, trust, communication, support, and safety. And unlike friendships or family, love and relationships are more specific to the romantic connections that you may or may not have. So if you're in a romantic partnership, it's the quality of that. If you were out of a romantic relationship, it's how you are feeling about being single. You could have someone who's single feeling 10 out of 10. You could have somebody in a marriage feeling 1 out of 10. So it certainly has no bearing on their actual circumstances, but it's how they feel about the current state of wherever they are. I would say in business, when I'm business coaching new nurse coaches, if their primary relationship is like a 6 or below, we bump up into it so much. It's such a big part of our overall well-being. So I just don't want to skip over that. If you have a client who it just is having a very difficult time making any progress, inquire more about their marriage, inquire more about their romantic partnership. A lot of times people know there's a problem there and they don't want to talk about it. And a lot of times they don't talk about it till later in your coaching relationship. So it's a really important area. My marriage right now today, I will say it's a 7 or 8 out of 10, always looking to improve. We just recently went on a date, but I was very grumpy to him this Sunday. So that's why I'm giving it a 7. It's because I could have done better in the way I treated my husband on Sunday. Pretty darn snappy with him and irritable. So 7 or 8 for me. But this can be so tender, you guys. So as you're evaluating this, if you're getting teary or this is hitting you in your heart in the feels, it's okay. Relationships are part of our growth pattern, and I think just acknowledging where you are can be so healing. And there's always place for improvement that doesn't rely on your partner. There's always room for improvement in how you relate to your current circumstances, the truth of it. Last one, planning. So planning refers to the ability to set, organize, and work towards personal or professional goals. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is your ability to say something and implement it and strategize and execute. I mean, all the magnificent things you've ever experienced in your whole life have been the result of planning, and effective planning is foundational to achieving the objectives that you want in your life. So if your planning skills or the way you rate your planning is like a 2 or 3, we're going to have a hard time changing all the areas. You can see how important this is. And this distinction is that it involves time management. Are you always late? Talking to you. Setting priorities, and then creating a structured path forward. Oftentimes, people who rank low in planning will complain a lot of overwhelm, or they will complain a lot about always being late or having no motivation or bad time management. Now, here's the thing. It's just rating it, right? And I'm going to say for planning right now, I'm probably a 7. But sometimes we can't plan because our love and relationships is a 3, and we're in survival mode with our partners. So you can see how if we didn't take a whole, like if somebody was thinking about leaving their marriage, they rate their love and relationships a 3 out of 10, and everything else is great, and their planning is an 8, but they're like, I just really need to work on my time management. I would be curious on how their love and relationship area of their life is affecting their ability to plan. Like, is it that they really need to work on more planning, or is it that we just need to look at what the elephant in the room or the elephant in their assessment? This is really, really important. And then we got 4 clarifying questions. And we asked them, after completing the wheel of life, what are the top 3 areas that you want to work on? 2 is, what would happen if you were able to hit every goal in the above areas you mentioned? And it gives them some time to really reflect on what life could feel like and look like and be like, and what would people think and see the changes in you. So we begin to take some time to dream and really build the vision of what it could look like if you hit every goal. if you changed careers and you were on fire for your career, that you improved your marriage and that your physical health was just thriving, can you imagine how different that would be than how you feel today, sitting here, listening to this? Or for the client, how they feel in that moment, in that first session with you. Next one is, what do you think has held you back from doing these things on your own? This is important because usually our life is the way it is because we've been thinking the way we've always thought. And so coaching really is an opportunity to change the way we think, because if we change the way we think, it changes the way we act. And if we change the way we act, then our external circumstances shift. And then we're going to check for motivation. How motivated are you, 1 to 10, to work on these areas with me, your nurse life coach? So that's the primary assessment that we use in the course. And I wanted to just give you that overview because I think it's really easy to like see it for the 20th time, be like, oh God, we got to do the Wheel of Life overview. But I'm telling you guys right now, I wrote down all my scores on this piece of paper as I'm doing this episode with you. And like, yay, I think my lowest was a 6. And I'm feeling really good about things. Like I'm doing better. Or maybe I was a 5. I think I had a 5 in there too, but it looks better than I thought it looked. And it actually makes me feel a lot of relief doing this. And so this is something that doesn't get old. You can do it at any time. And it's a beautiful way to start a coaching relationship. Now, there's one other assessment I don't have in the course, but that I love to do on my mentorship calls, and I think is really important, is asking a client, what is your energy level today? 0 to 10. Cool thing is usually if you assess it at the end of the call, it's always higher. But if a client's energy is 5 or below, you might change course for the day. A lot of times new coaches will hear someone say, well, I'm a 5 out of 10. And then the newer nurse coach will say, in their head, they'll think, oh, well, I got to change that. We got to get more energy so we can hit our goals and so that I can be a good coach and they can get good results. And a more seasoned coach like, awesome, some days we're 5s. Like, tell me more. Why do you think you're a 5 out of 10? And like maybe even acknowledging like, yeah, it makes sense you're a 5 out of 10. You have a lot going on. How are you dealing with all that? That's how I'd like to more, like that would be a better approach in my opinion to lower energy. Or if it's like it's obvious why they're low energy, just acknowledging that and then checking in, seeing how they want to use their time that day. Because a lot of times when people are 5 or below, it's more of a deep listening, holding space for, acknowledging and witnessing them, and less let's strategize, create goals and win at life. It's hard to win at life when you're a 5 or below in energy. You know what I'm saying? So I think assessing energy can be really nice. Because while that Wheel of Life assessment is fantastic, maybe they did that when they were a 7 out of 10 of energy, and now they're a 3. You want to you want to meet them in that wherever they are, making sure they know it's okay to be there with you. You're not trying to fix it or rush it, and that there's going to be plenty of days with higher energy to win at life and make all the goals and strategize. And that doesn't make you a bad life coach. It means you're meeting your client where they are. So I like asking that question at all follow-up sessions. What's your energy like today? So you kind of know what you're working with. All right, guys, let me know in our Facebook group how that landed for you. If this is new for you, I will put a link to the form in the show notes so you can download it. And if you have any questions about Nurse Life Coach Academy, let me know. I'd love to answer them. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.